This is a movie I've been wanting to dig into for some time, because I was moderately teased by it. Every now and again I'd see the poster pop up in my newsfeed from FFC until it didn't, and I forgot about it for a few years until it popped up on POV Horror. Seekers tells the story of a group of friends who goes into the forest and get picked off by something horrible. And that's it. It's aggravatingly basic, especially when it didn't need to be. The setup is an amateur documentary about geocaching, a form of modern treasure hunting where people look for loot boxes using GPS coordinates. It's 4 friends plus a hired cameraman following them into the woods. And I like that. It's more imaginative than just making home movies of a camping trip no one is going to want to watch. And if the rest of the movie had been competently assembled, there really could have been something here. I can say that because this is Michael Effenberger's 5th film in a slew of critical failures that spans his whole career. And if this film represents him, I can definitely see why. It starts well enough. Like I said, it's supposed to be a documentary about geocaching and consists of what would be BTS and raw footage. And credit where credit is due, I didn't notice any post-production until it starts getting weird, which makes sense when none of the characters will survive. But then it starts unraveling when the reason for filming contradicts what is being filmed. The first half an hour of the film consists of the friends filming their vacation around Poland. In other found footage movies like Wolf House, this might work if the setup really is just filming one's vacation, but this is supposed to be a documentary. I'd like to believe you don't need to be a professional to realize if what you're filming has nothing to do with your subject, you probably shouldn't be filming it. Of course, this is a documentary and vacation, and they have more than one camera, so they can film both and later just edit out the irrelevant footage. But they brought along a professional cameraman for the documentary, and the irrelevant footage still found its way in here after the fact. Not to mention, unlike Wolf House, these people are as fun as distant relatives to be held hostage by for that initial 30 minutes. When the movie does get to the point, their geocache turns out to be an abandoned hotel in the middle of the woods. Fair enough, I did not see that coming. And as far as locations go, it's actually pretty creepy, with many different locations that vary from dilapidated bedrooms to moldy liminal spaces and abused boiler rooms. Not to mention the oddity of a hotel in the very literal middle of nowhere, with nothing around for miles. There is something unsettling going on here, but the movie unfortunately glosses over it while explaining what's going on. And what's going on connects to nothing. While exploring the hotel, they find clues to suggest something strange happened here. It turns out some religious nutters tortured their kid to death thinking she was possessed by a demon. Only she probably was, because one of their own becomes possessed as well. None of this had anything to do with geocaching. It was a means to get them out there, and Effenberger didn't put any thought in it beyond that. Why was this girl possessed? Was the geocache a lure to invite victims? Who set up the geocache? Was it the demon? And if it had internet access in the middle of the woods without a computer, why not just go to where the victims are rather than isolate itself out here? Exactly. None of these questions are answered, because it doesn't matter. What matters is now a group of victims are isolated in a creepy building in the middle of the woods with a demon. And it only took a goddamn hour! So plot, story and characters are all a shambles, but what about everything else that makes a movie? Well, I think including a trained cameraman specifically to film these people is an interesting approach for found footage, but the more I think about it, it also defeats the point of found footage. Found footage is supposed to place us at the center of things together with the characters and bring us closer to the events. Having this outsider filming them from a distance, even when they acknowledge he's there, it feels disconnected from the events, especially given the way he films them. Even when things start going insane, he still makes sure to keep the characters in focus and looking kind of cinematic, even though he is right there in the events with them. In summary, Seekers is a poorly constructed, poorly written, poorly filmed, poorly executed, poor movie. It's got some interesting ideas that could have been taken somewhere, like if the cameraman stopped being professional when things went wrong, or their interactions established something about them, or it was explained how it all fit together, but none of that happened, and so it rather annoys me to agree with IMDb when I sentence Seekers to a 3 on a scale of 11.